First of all, can I ask you a little bit about yourself, your background in music, and what brought you to where you are today?
Okay, so I've been playing music for about 25 years. I started in my late teens, and I started out playing harmonica, blues harmonica. And I played in blues bands at the beginning for several years. Really enjoyed it, played a bit of guitar too. And I think my musical, where I always sort of return to is the blues. That's my main source of inspiration. And then very quickly I discovered Coltrane and took up the saxophone and never looked back really. And I've been playing in various formations since then. I like to play in different types of music, different types of environments. I enjoy jazz, but also funk, classical music, soul, saxophone quartets, small bands, big bands, and it's always an ever-evolving environment. That's what I enjoy. And trees I've been playing with trees now for since the inception of the band, really, and love it.
Now, for the big question, can you tell me, what's it like to be a tree?
Well, being a tree is it's a bit like being part of an extended family. It's a band that is more of a community, I suppose. There's no real hierarchy, which is quite unusual certainly for large jazz groups. A lot of the time in jazz bands, there's always a tension between the individual and the collective. There's a big cult of personality in jazz. The soloist, the star, expressing your own voice. And I think Terry's managed to really find a great compromise between that, where the collective is where everything comes from, and where everybody has their own place without a sense of hierarchy or importance or ego. And that's a real difference that Trees has compared to a lot of the bands I've played with and are around. And there's a great mix of people, great mix of different styles and approaches and origins. People have different histories and they've come to music in different ways. And you really get a sense of that richness when you hear the music, when you play in the music, when you turn up to band. Yeah, it's a great experience. It's a great project to be associated with. Very proud of it.
You've obviously had a lot of experience in different genres with different bands and things. So I'd like to ask you, is there anything different, unusual or distinctive about Trees as a band compared with other groups that you've played with?
Well, every band has its own personality, usually coming from a mixture of who the leader is and where the players are coming from, what kind of people come to the band and make it up. And I think Terry, because of who he is, his experience, his generosity of spirit, and the way he set up the band with all these different kinds of people coming to it, there's an atmosphere which is quite special to it that comes across. And that's also reflected in the music and in Terry's writing, Hillary's writing, the people who write for the band. One thing which is quite special is how the rhythm section is really the engine of the band, and that's really what powers the music along. And I think Terry always gives priority to that, which is great, because he always has the best rhythm section he can get on gigs, on rehearsals, and it really brings such a great quality to the music. His writing, or the writing of the piece, is also quite different. You don't have the usual tropes of big band writing, where you have very clear sections, lots of cliches, an intro, some solos, a soli section, a shout chorus, etc. You're never quite sure where the pieces are going to go. Every gig is played slightly differently. There's always a twist or a surprise or something that the band does and you're never quite sure where it's going to go. So that's a very refreshing, and it's great to be able to turn up to band practice or to a gig and never be quite sure which way it's going to go and what it's going to sound like. Because also the instrumentation is so fluid, it may sound completely differently, and it always sounds great, regardless of what it is.